Hello guys, welcome back to the Kids World YouTube channel. Woohoo! Today, I'll be telling you the story of Max Einstein Saves the Future. Now Max, the main character of the story, she leads a group who works for the CMI, short form for the Changemakers Institute. Now, this group, their job was to solve the hardest world crises that no one else has ever solved. And they're kids, so pretty impressive, right? Now, this is the third story of the series, and they're supposed to work on world hunger. And this group also contains 9 kids, including Max. Siobhan, she is from Ireland, and she is one of Max's closest friends who is always there for her. She can be a bit stubborn at times, and she loves to work on astrology and likes working on different things that can work on experimental things that can help change the world. Tisha is from Kenya. She likes finding different diseases in different, parts of the world where there's something going wrong. And her dad is one of the richest people in Kenya. But that has nothing to do with her being on this team. Anika, she is from Germany. She is Max's best friend. And they have been close ever since the first book, when the Corp thugs that Max is running from first start chasing after them. And at the Albert Einstein archives, there was a little incident, and she helped escape from it. So she's been pretty supportive towards Max. And she likes doing different types of experiments as well, but she also works on biology, which she is obsessed with biology. And yeah. Then comes Hannah from Japan. Hannah only eats plants, so she's basically vegetarian. She loves studying about plants, and she finds it very interesting and very helpful, and that plants are the new meat, which can be confusing for some people, but according to Hannah, that's what's right. Then we can't forget Toma from China. He likes doing astrology. He wants to go to Mars one day. Very big dream of his. And I don't know how it's going to happen, but let's hope it does happen, because he has some big dreams on his mind. So then we have Vihan from Mumbai, India. He has a PhD at the age of 13, and he also is into quantum mechanics. He even teaches at a university. Let's hope he fights some bullies, because there are a lot of bullies at a university. Plus, he's also one of Max's closest friends, and he was actually the main person on the last quest, which was a water crisis in India. And he's still there, trying to make sure everything is confirmed and done well. And apparently everything has been done well. Next, we can't forget about the sausage-loving boy that we all really like, Claus. He is from Poland, and this Claus guy, he loves sausages, and he was kind of disappointed that he couldn't have any meat in India. But that's not what his main thing is learning about. Sausages, nah. He studies AI and loves doing work with robots. Ask him to fix a robot, he can do it. And he also created Leo, who was formerly known as Leonard in the last book. He worked for the Corp. And Claus turned him into Leo and rebooted his system, made him into a new person, completely different, barely remembers anything about the Corp, and there is one thing that's very shocking. He couldn't crack out the code of him giggling. Very shocking, but yes, we have to just deal with it. Then comes Keto. Keto is from Oakland, California. Very exciting, because I'm also from California, but that's not the main point of this. Keto, he is into computer science, and he also likes working on hacking, and he's a pretty good hacker. He is also close friends with Max, but they can have a better friendship, and yeah, that's basically about him. And as far as what is known, Leo is technically sort of counted as the newest member of the CMI team, but we wouldn't consider it part of the team really, because he's a robot and he's more of the person who makes sure that the Corp isn't after them or has no idea where they are, because he used to work for the Corp and he's very advanced in technology. So yes, and without further ado, let's get started on this story. Max was in London, England, and she was staying at a hostel under the name Maeve, or Maeve, but she was fine with either. And she was really bored. She wanted to go out. That's when she decided she can use an illusion to sneak into a concert. So she tricked the guard. She said, "Excuse me, where's the musicians entering?" She had a violin case with her and shook it so that he would actually believe it. He said, "It's down there. Right there. Yeah, right there. And you wouldn't miss the show. You wouldn't want to miss the show." And just when Max was about to sneak into the concert, the guards caught her and said, "There's no one playing a violin. They're only playing with their mouths." And she was kicked out of the concert, and she was very disappointed. So she went back to her hostel, and Leo said, "I see you have a violin case. Would you like me to play some violin music for you?" And Max was not in the mood for it. Then she explained to him that the term TMI was right now with him, and she was feeling that with him right now. And Leo was still confused, but of course he was a little too serious and didn't like it. Like, didn't like it that he was too serious and giggled too much, and that he put too much information on her head. He even said that there was a very, 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 very less chance of the Corp knowing where they are. And meanwhile, back at the Corp area, you all know Dr. Zim, right? He was kicked out of the Corp because he failed to find Max. So now we had a new enemy to face. Professor Von Hinkle. Tall, bald-headed dude with buckle boots, and he was ready to find Max. And it was kind of dangerous for her because he was very big, almost 7 foot. And he was also very much rivalry with Dr. Zim, who had failed to cover the task of capturing Max. And they wanted to build a very advanced AI computer with her brain, because she was the smartest girl in the whole world, even smarter than all of the adults. She was the smartest person in the whole world. And we were ready. That's when a girl named Olivia at the hostel said, "Meanwhile, thanks for helping me with my homework, Max." I mean, Maeve, because that was her name, the hostel. It was about quantum mechanics, and of course, they had been very close to each other because they were kind of not roommates, but they were neighbors in roommates, like sort of things. They were neighbors, they were next to each other. And that's when she called Benjamin Franklin Abercrombie, and he invited her to a restaurant where he had lunch with her. And that's when Shavon entered. He said, "Let's have some fun. We can dress up as the iFunny characters and disguise ourselves, since there are a lot of security cameras in London. The Corp could find them easily." So they did. And meanwhile, back in Montana, Professor Von Hinkle was interviewing Dr. Zim, saying, "Tell me everything you know about Max." He explained that he had found Max when she was a little baby, still crawling in her crib, and he had taken her home to his home to be safe, but then was taken by a doctor and was arrested for theft, and who was trying to protect her because she knew that Dr. Zim would use her. That's when he checked. Her IQ was very high for her age, and she would turn out to be a super baby. Well, not a super baby, but a super genius kid when she grew up. Professor Von Hinkle was not happy with the answer because he said he knew a lot about Max, but apparently he knew very less about her. He didn't even know when her birthday was or who her parents were. So then, that's when they came up with the missing report for Max being missing, and the prize money for it would be a lot. And the bad news was that Olivia, Maeve's neighbor in the hostel, saw it and said, "Should I just keep calling you Maeve, or are you ready to make me call you Max?" And Shavon was there to support her, and they said they're going to Rome, and Olivia said, "I'm telling them where you are going." Max said, "Rome's too big, they'll never find us." And so they went there, and they didn't go to Rome. They were just playing smart. They had to go to the airport to go to Princeton University because there was supposed to be a new CMI leader. Because apparently Miss Copeland didn't like Max that much at all. And Max didn't like tests either. So when they did go, Max took the test, and guess who won? Nope, not Max. No. Hannah won. And they had to work on the world hunger problem, as Ben would, he said. And apparently, some would be in the poor section, some would be in the middle class. One person would be in the rich section. Anika was in the rich section. Charles and Isabel, Max's caretakers, were in the middle class section, and the rest of the kids were in the poor section, which wasn't fair at all. Because there was rice cooked in dirty water, and except for Vihan, because he's still in India working on the water crisis and making sure everything's going fine and all that. That's when they went to a farm area where they would work on a crisis. And they went somewhere, and the Corp goons saw them. They had to get rid of all their items so that the Corp goons would stop following them. And the bad thing was that the car they had wasn't their own. It was a rental. So they started throwing all the stuff, and Max made a very big decision. She decided to get rid of her suitcase. Her very beloved suitcase that had all the memories in it. Pictures of Albert Einstein, scientific books. She had had it for as long as she could remember. And it was very depressing to let go of that. And then Miss Coupland had to get rid of her medicine and all that. So when they went to the farm area, they found out Miss Coupland was working for the court. And they had found out that Hannah wanted to go to the place where it was actually needed, but Miss Coupland had said to go there. So they worked there, all on that. Then they had to figure out what was solving the world, what was happening with world hunger, because as you may all know, world hunger is caused by many occasions. As you know, food to buy at the store and other places, they've started skyrocketing since around 2010. And this was bad for the low-income people, because people with low income, they are barely able to survive, and they're not able to manage. Which brings me back to my next point. Back to the part. Remember my artificial intelligence video? There it shows that in poor countries, people were barely able to survive, which brings robots into place because they didn't have to eat anything. Well, that's the same case here, but still, this is a different scenario, kind of. This is the part where we're not talking about robots. And they went to find out about the problem. And on the way, Hannah betrayed the CMI, well, the kids group, and she had been working for the corp as well. And so they were able to kidnap Max, but she was able to escape because Hannah felt bad. But then she was sent a one-way home ticket back to Japan because she was kicked off the team. And they wondered, how are we going to be able to manage without Hannah? She's very genius. And Ben said, we'll figure it out. Max had found out that since the soil was so poor in the farmers area, that showed that there was a lot of bad things happening because the rain wouldn't produce enough water, and it was not good for the soil because the soil was also poorly made. Max did find it confusing that they were not able to figure it out completely, but they knew that this was a problem that would start skyrocketing more and more as the years went by. And even Siobhan assured to her that they'd find a way to stop world hunger, which would be very hard, but they're the CMI team, so what would be wrong with that? They would be able to find a solution. And because they were the baby geniuses, not baby geniuses, but they were the kid geniuses that can help get rid of any problem that comes in their hands. At least they hoped it would be. The moral of this story isn't always that clear, but it is said that even the closest people, the people who you are closest to, can turn out to be your biggest enemies. Because Hannah was pretty close to Max, and she turned out to be betraying them and working for the Corps. Miss Coupland, she didn't have really that much of a relationship with Max, but she was the one who trained them all to work hard and do things, and she was the one who did guide them in some way. And thank you so much for watching. I really hope you understood this story, and if you didn't already check out my other 2 stories about this series, I would highly encourage you to, because they're also pretty good stories. And again, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications while you're at it. I'll see you guys in the next video.